Right now, what we need to do is set up our Codify and our template folders. Okay? So here on my desktop, and if your desktop is super messy, just full of a lot of different icons, folders, programs, do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Take 5 or 10 minutes and just clean it up. Clean it up. I know how easy it is to end up with a cluttered desktop, but you're not going to be doing yourself any favors if you have to deal with a very cluttered desktop over the length of this course. So take some time and clean it up, even if that just means creating a desktop folder and dropping everything in it. Okay? But once you have a nice clean desktop, a lot of empty space to work with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, select New and Folder, and I'm going to call this folder Codify. Okay. Now inside my Codify folder, I'm going to right click, select New, Folder, and I'm going to call this folder Week 01. Two things that I want you to take note of here. Codify starts with a lowercase c. Week 01 starts with a lowercase w. That's thing one. Thing two is Week 01 has no spaces. Okay? No spaces. This is important. From here on out, in your folder and file names, without exception, always start with a lowercase letter. Do not capitalize your file and folder names. And do not include spaces in your file and folder names. These naming conventions are very important to observe. Okay, they are important. So once I've created a week 1 folder, I'm going to create another folder for week 2, week 02, another folder for week 3. Okay, and I want you to do this for all 16 weeks. All 16 weeks. If you're very impatient, well, what I can do here is copy these 3 folders, paste them, and then just rename them to 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I want you to have a week 0 whatever folder, or a week 10 folder for week 10, 11 for 11, 16 for 16. I want you to have a separate folder for every week of the course. Okay? And once you do that, the only thing left to do is going to be setting up our template folder. Our template folder is going to contain some boilerplate fundamental code. Code which has to be written every time you start a new website or a new project or a new set of exercises. By creating a template folder, what we're doing is making sure that that code already exists and sits in a safe place. And whenever we want to start a new project, we can just copy it, paste it, rename it, and get off to a running start. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. So I'll show you what I mean, but first let's just get set up. So still inside my Codify folder, I'm going to create a new folder yet again, and I'm going to call this one Template with a lowercase t, Template. Okay? And now I'm going to drag this empty template folder onto my Sublime Text 3 shortcut icon on the desktop. And this will open it in Sublime Text. Okay, this is my template. And see here it says template on the left-hand side in our folder or file structure. So everything is currently empty, so far so good. I'm going to right-click on template inside of Sublime and select New File. Not new folder, but new file. And that creates this little tab saying Untitled up here. Well, before I write anything else, I'm going to save this new file by using the Windows shortcut Control-S, or you can select File, Save, and I'm going to save it as index.html. Index.html. You must name this file index.html. Okay, and once I've done that, I can now see index.html underneath template. So far, so good. Well, let's write some boilerplate code in here. All I need to do is type HTML and hit the tab key. And all of this code auto-populates. Sublime Text Editor takes care of it for me. It's just a quick and useful shortcut for getting started. Okay. Once we do that, I'm going to right-click on Template yet again, and this time I'm going to select New Folder. Not New File, but New Folder. And a tab saying Folder Name pops up on the bottom. I'm going to type in CSS and hit Enter. Now we have a CSS folder. I'm going to do this whole thing one more time. Right-click on Template, select New Folder, and now in my folder name, I'm going to type IMG. Okay? Now you don't know what these are yet, but IMG is going to be the folder where we store any images which we will use on our site. And CSS is a folder which will contain our CSS style sheet. You're going to learn more about this very, very soon. Okay, only two more steps that we need to do here. I'm going to right-click now on the CSS folder, select New File, save this new file, and I'm going to call it main.css. All lowercase. Index is lowercase, main is lowercase, HTML, CSS, everything is lowercase. And there are no spaces. Everything is lowercase. And I don't need to type anything here, so we're good to go. Now let's take a look at our file structure. We have our template folder, which is our root project folder, our root directory, the root of all of this code here. And inside our template folder is a CSS folder, an image folder, and an index.html file. So if I actually look at this template folder in my Finder window, there are three things inside of template. Okay, that is important. Three things, no more, no less. If you see four things, something is wrong. If you see two things, something is wrong. Start over. Try this again. Take your time. If you see four things, it's probable that you saved your main.css outside of your CSS folder. Your main.css file should be inside your CSS folder, which should be one of the three things inside your inside your template folder. Okay? Three things. And one thing inside CSS. So the way this folder structure works is in layers. The template is the big old container of everything inside. And inside that container are three boxes. One which is just our index.html, one which is our image folder, img, which is empty, and a third box which is our CSS folder. And inside that box is another box or another thing called main.css. Okay, so we're 2 layers deep by the time we get to main.css. If you are not clear on or familiar with file structures, it's something that you will become familiar with very soon over time. So don't panic if this feels a little beyond you. Just try to make sure that your template folder at this point in time looks like mine. Okay, the very last step that we're going to do, I'm going to write a line of code here. First, I'm going to drop my cursor at the end of title here, after this title tag, and I'm going to hit Enter. to start a new line. And I'm going to write a line of code, which I just want you to copy as you see it. Okay, this will be explained to you, I promise, and will make sense to you. But for now, I just want you to copy this line of code so that everybody is set up and on the same page. And this line of code looks like this. Angle bracket, link, space, rel, equals, quote, style sheet, end quote, space, href, equals, quote, css, / main.css, angle bracket. Just like that. Pause the video if you need to, take a moment, but copy this line of code in this location inside your index.html. Once you've done that, all we need to do is save. You see how this little gray dot is sitting next to index.html? That means that I have made changes to my code, changes to this document, which I have not saved. So whenever you see that little gray circle, it's a good idea to simply hit Control-S and save. Just like that, and it will turn into an X. Okay? I've saved, we're all set, I'm good to go. My template is complete. The way this is going to work is anytime we need to start a new project, I'm going to right-click on my template folder. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. Let's paste it in the week 1 folder. And now I'm going to rename it to, say, week 1 exercises. And this folder I will open in Sublime. And this is where I will start my code. This is where I will start my week 1 exercises. I can add a title, week 1 exercises, and code into this. Okay, this is the important thing. You do not code into your template. You copy your template, rename it, and you code into the renamed copy. Every time. All right.